All right, so in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how our conversions so far from fractions to decimals and percents are helpful when we're trying to look at practical problems, which is a fancy way of saying real life stuff. So the very first one we have here is that we've got a table and it shows 4 different eCart assessments in some classes. And we've got a history score. So imagine these are quiz grades. We've got a history grade, math, English, and science. And in a history class, it looks like this person got a 6 out of 8. Math, they got a 5 out of 9. In English, they got a 3 out of 5 on something. And in science, they got an 8 out of 10. So a lot like you guys are seeing in your Google Form scores or things like that, they're fractions. And sometimes, like the first one, you can just reduce it and immediately know that you've got a 75%. So like history, that score is a 75%. Now for math, if you get a 5 out of 9 and you've got a 5 divided by 9, when that decimal moves over, the 55.5 is going to get rounded up because it's a 5 to a 56%. So the teacher is going to think of that as a 56%. Now for English, a 3 out of 5, most of you have it memorized, that's a 0.6 or a 0.60, which is a 60%. And you guys know that an 8 out of 10 is an 80%. So the question asks us to order them from the highest grade, so the best to the worst, highest to lowest. And out of all of these scores over here, we can see that science is clearly the highest score with an 80%, then history, then English, then math. So if I remove this blue box for you guys, it's listed. We had science, then history, then English and math. And again, science, we saw that the science was an 80%. In history, you got a 75 on that score. For English, the score was a 60. And in math class, the score was a 56, so now they're ordered from highest to lowest. Friendly reminder that that is considered descending order. When you have highest to lowest, that's descending order. Okay? That's just a vocab reminder. All right. Now we're on question 2. So Daphne has taken 4 quizzes so far in her math class, and she's keeping track so far. So quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3, quiz 4. And we can see her scores here. And so for quiz 1, the 6 out of 10 would be a 60%. Now for quiz 2, 10/12, I don't expect you guys to have that one memorized. So if I open up my calculator and do a 10 divided by 12, we can see here that that's going to be an 83.3. And again, since it's a 3, it doesn't go higher. It's just going to stay an 83 with the rounding. So that's where I got the 83%. Now let's talk about where I got this 5/7. So 5 divided by 7, if I move the decimal over twice, it'd be a 71.4. And again, the 0.4, it doesn't need to round up. Only if it's a 5 or higher in that third spot does this round up. So like if you saw 0.716, the 6 would round that to a 72. But since it was a 4, we're going to leave it alone at 71%. And last but not least, when I do my 8 divided by 9, some of you remember that the ninths, it's just the top repeating. So if it's an 8/9, it's a 0.8 repeating. And once again, if I show you guys what it looks like as a percentage, you can see that this 0.8 is going to round that up to a 9, which is why I have an 89%. So you can use your calculator to simply divide these to get the decimals and make them percents. And what we are asking here is, which quiz did she get the best grade on? So out of these numbers, the highest grade we see here is quiz number 4. And some of you might have been able to look at that and say, oh yeah, so like here she missed 4. Here she missed 2, here she missed 2, and on this one she only missed 1. So yeah, that's the best grade. And for lowest, it looks like right here, yeah, quiz 1, starting out, the first one, that's the lowest one. All right, for the next one, there are 90 players on Cameron's football team. 3/5 of the players walk to practice, and 15% of them ride with their parents. The rest of the football players ride the bus. We want to know how many players ride the bus. So the first part that we have is that 3/5 are walking. So 3/5 walk, and you guys know that that's 60%. So 60% are walking. Now 15% ride with their parents. So 15% ride with their parents. So far we have 60% and 15% taken care of. And if I delete that box, we can see that That means 75% total either walk or ride with their parents. If I just add these up, 60 plus 15 is 75. So the number of people who walk or ride with their parents, we have 75% of the players, okay? So y'all, if 75% of the players walk or ride with their parents, what's the amount that's left over that ride the bus? That's going to be 25% ride the bus. So if 25% ride the bus, all we need to do is figure out, well, what is 25% of my 90 players? Now again, this is why you learned the skill of converting from a percent to a decimal, because this 25% as a decimal goes in as a 0.25, and we simply multiply it by the 90 people. So when I bust out my calculator, which is not loading, sorry, here it comes, it's taking forever, sorry about that. So if I do the 25% of the 90 people, I get a 22.5. Now we can't have a half a person, so about 23 people ride the bus. And those little squigglies that you guys see, that's just for about. That's the word about, just a math symbol for that. So again, if you know what percent are walking and what percent ride with their parents, just add that up, and whatever's left over must ride the bus. 25% of the 90 people, we just do 0.25 times 90, and of course we have to round our answer. So we're going to have a similar strategy here for the next one, okay? And I know some of you are very tempted to go ahead and just start copying down what I have, so let me at least cover up my handwriting so that we can just read the problem together. So we have 60 students who joined a high school club, 60. Now, 2/5 or 40%, 2/5 are in 9th grade. We're also told that 20% are in 10th grade. The remaining students are in the 11th grade. And we want to know how many students that would be in the 11th grade. So if 2/5 are in 9th grade and 20% are in 10th grade, let's just use the percentages. Hopefully you have it memorized at this point that 2/5 is 40%. If not, you can just do a 2/5 and see right there that the 2/5 is 40%, 0.40. So we've got 40% 9th graders and 20% 10th graders. So that's 60% so far taken care of. And it says literally the rest, the remaining, are in 11th grade. So if 60% is taken care of so far, the rest has to be 40% are in 11th grade. Now 40% as a decimal is 0.40. And now I simply have to multiply that by the 60 students total. We're just trying to figure out 40% of 60 kids in a club. So when we do this, 0.4 times 60, you can see here that that's 24 students. So you get 24 students who are in 11th grade. Now how can I check to see if I'm right? You might already be thinking, okay, well, if we've got 24 11th graders, let's figure out real quick to see how many 10th graders there were. What would 20% be? Let's do 20% real quick to see how many are in the 10th grade. Oops, I did 10th. I did 10. It was 20% of 60 kids. There we go. So 12. So it looks like we had 12 people who were in this grade. And 40% we already calculated was 24. So let's just add them up and see if that adds us to 60 kids total. So the 24 9th graders plus my 12 10th graders. And last but not least, let's try 24 more. Hey, what do you know? That's 60 total. So we must have done everything right. So you can see in this video, what we're doing is we're taking fractions and percentages and using the decimal. And of course, we can use the calculator to finish up the math. All right, so for this last one, we have a pie chart over here, or a circle graph. And what the circle graph does is it shows how much has been set aside for each category. So for example, 20% of the budget for your birthday party is going to get spent on drinks, while 30% of the budget would get spent on food. And the total budget is $500. Okay, that's what this chart is saying. So for the first question over here, how much money can be spent on paper products? Well, paper products is right here, and it's 15%. So we want to know what is 15% of our entire budget of the 500. That's the real question here. What's 15% of 500? So 15% as a decimal, choop, choop, is 0.15. So all you need to do is 0.15 times 500. 15% of 500, 0.15 times 500. All right, so that's going to be $75. So they're going to spend no more than $75 on things like paper plates, paper napkins, maybe plastic cups, stuff like that. Okay? Now food. So like pizza, maybe it's like a pizza party, or they're going to get Chipotle catered, who knows? But it looks like 30% is devoted to food. Now some of you are instantly going to realize that this amount is exactly double. So you might be thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to double this and I'm going to have my answer. And that is an excellent strategy. But what if you hadn't done this problem first? What if you didn't already know this answer? What if you straight up were just trying to find 30% of 500? So you're going to do 0.30 times the 500, and that's 150. And of course, we expected it to be exactly double, and it is. And we can see here that $150 is the most that your parents would plan on spending on food for your party. So this is kind of getting you all started with how we're going to be applying some of these rational number conversions to these real life problems. Just looking at things like your grades. Your grades are, again, a really common place where you see the fractions, but we care more about the percent to go into the grade book. And then down here, we're kind of starting to lead into some real life scenarios, especially looking at the chart here and being able to kind of analyze a chart and get some math answers from the chart. Okay? And that takes care of this video. Thank you for watching.